Hello, I guess this is working. Oh, and there are new, every time I turn on this live thing, there are new pop-ups thing. Well, I think it's the second time I actually go live or the third, so I'm not really sure how this works, but fine. I just wanted to do a quick message, kind of just to get this off my chest, because it just happened now. I'm operating on very little sleep, and yeah, I basically. So as you probably know, I'm in the process of trying to set up this agency, and so what this entails is I work with a lot of other translators who operate in many different languages, and I just finished working on this one job. Obviously, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but it was a big translation job that needed to be done. Basically, what needed to be done were 3 files needed to be translated. It was assigned a week ago, and the translator said he'd be able to do it by the deadline of yesterday. And he said, he's like, I can do it within yesterday, basically 5 days, as long as my he said conservatively, he implied he could do it before, but then but yesterday to be sure. Anyway, he was working on it, and then he contacted me about 24 hours before the deadline, said he wouldn't be able to finish all 3 documents. So this is 24 hours before it's due, but I was able to assign one of the documents to one of my other translators, luckily, and get that done in time. So, and in the meantime, I said, well, give me what you've already worked on, which was 1 document. So I have one done by him and another one done by someone else. And then the final one needed to be done by yesterday. And in the end, because then I need to look over it all and then send it to the client, and they needed it by, they wanted it by yesterday, basically. And so but I had this one document that was missing, and this one document, granted, it was a big document. It was 13 pages, full of text and all this stuff, which I know can take a while. But anyway, long story short, I was up until 1:30 a.m. waiting for it. Woke, and then I still didn't have it. I was like, just send it whenever you're done. Woke up at 5:30 a.m. to receive it, and it still wasn't done. And then he's like, well, it'll take a couple more hours. I was like, okay, until 10 a.m. And I waited until 10 a.m. and still nothing, until noon and still nothing. I finally got it at, wait, let's see what time I finally got it. Because in the end, I just told him, just send me what you have because I need it. I finally got it. I said, send me whatever you have at 3:32 p.m. 3:39, he sent me whatever he had. And then, I looked over it briefly and sent it to the client because it was already late to send it to the client. They needed it for a meeting, which is, happening now. And anyway, the moral of this whole story, look, stuff like this happens. It happens from my point of view where, I'm waiting for a translation and it's very late. It happens from the translator's point of view where things take a lot longer than expected. And I've had this happen before. I think something will take, so-and-so time. And this is a translator I've been working with for a long time, by the way. And for a certain amount of time. And he's always been very good with the deadlines. And it can always happen that you miscalculate. Even after you've been doing this for years, you can always miscalculate. And that can happen to everyone. The important thing here, and the main issue I have with all this, is communication. You need to, as soon as you notice something is going to be late, and I think what happens very often is that you're embarrassed, So I, as a translator, I realize I'm going to be late and I'm embarrassed about it. I don't want to say, I feel bad saying, oh, I won't be able to do it on time. I can't handle this, something like that. So I want to work on it. What ends up happening is I work on it quickly. And so I do a shoddy job. And, the client is there waiting, not knowing what's going on. They're left in the dark. And that's, bad. So what I really recommend is to communicate. Now, you don't have to say, I completely forgot about it, or I was, getting drunk or something like that. Whatever the reason might be, I don't care. But what you should say as soon as you realize that you can't make the deadline is to communicate this. If you cannot make the deadline, you need to say so they can plan ahead of time. Especially if it's someone you've been working with for a while. If this is your first job, I understand you don't want to make a bad impression, but trust me, you're going to make a bad one if you deliver late anyway. But especially if you've been working with someone for a while, you need to communicate ahead of time and tell them, look, I'm not going to be able to make the deadline, or, this is going to be an hour or 2 late, as soon as so they can plan accordingly. As long as I can plan accordingly, like I did for the 3rd file there, I found another translator. then I can figure it out. That's my job, to figure that part out as an agency. But if I'm left in the lurch, if I'm left in the dark and I don't know what's going on, then it can be, it's really hard. There's nothing I can do. I don't know what to do because I don't know what to expect. And I really felt like it was, pulling out teeth to try to get more information from this translator. And I didn't want to bother him too much, bombard him with emails and say, hey, where's the document? Where's the document? Where's the document? Where's the document? On the other hand, I mean, I'm stuck here waiting, and he says it's gonna take another 2 hours. I wait another 3 hours, and there's nothing. And so of course I have to email him, and he's not communicating with me. And in the end, it ended up taking, a good, I don't know, 36 hours longer than it should have, or anyway, more than 24 hours longer than it should have. And that whole time I'm going without any sleep. As I said, from 1:30 to 5:30 is how long I slept, 4 hours. And because I'm just waiting for this document so I can quickly go over it and make sure everything's okay, and send it to the client. Luckily, it's in a language combination that I'm pretty familiar with, and I've worked on similar stuff in the past, so I kind of know what to expect. I've also worked with this translator in the past, so I know what his quality is, which is good. And so anyway, that simplified the matter, but it still really creates a headache for me. And so it's just the importance of communication. As long as you're able to communicate what the circumstances are to the client, you don't need to even apologize too much or anything like that. You don't need to apologize at all, frankly. Just let the client know. And if you're going to be late, if there's going to be any hiccup whatsoever, as soon as you know it, if you can let the client know, it's the client's job to figure it out, what's going to happen. It's not ideal, and I understand it's embarrassing to have to tell the client, sorry, I'm not going to make the deadline. But if you can own up to it and tell the client right away, trust me, right then and there, the client might be, oh my God. I was kind of like that when I realized that the third document, I didn't know who was going to translate it. But, I was able to figure it out, and then everything's fine. And honestly, that part was fine. What I was not fine with was the lack of communication for that last and final file that I was waiting for, and I had no idea what was happening. So anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest. Sorry if I'm rambling, but like I mentioned, I'm going on very little sleep here. And just communicate. If you're dealing with an agency or an end client, especially with an end client, you need to communicate, and you need to let them know what's going on, because they need to be able to rely on you. And it's a lot better to say it's going to be a bit late, because at least they know you're transparent and that they can trust you from that point of view, than to just leave them in the dark so they don't know what's going on. Anyway, that's all I want to say. I want to kind of get that off my chest. And again, because this is from the point of view, as I'm wearing my hat as an agency now, but I think it could really benefit you as a translator to know this, to be able to put yourself in the shoes of whoever you're working for, to see that, it's really hard for them if they have no idea what you're doing, or if, because I was afraid, oh, maybe this guy, there was like, the internet went out or something, like I'm not going to hear back from this guy or something like that. And I won't be able to get any file, or maybe he completely forgot about it. You need to communicate, and you need to let the clients know what's going on, and not leave them in the dark about anything. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully you can find this useful. Just wanted to get it off my chest quickly, and hopefully I figured out how to do this live thing. I didn't want to schedule it for later. I just wanted to get it off my chest now. But that's it. I'll talk to you next time. Hopefully I can get a nap or something in before I have to go eat. Okay, thanks. Bye.